Thank you, General Brown. And of course, with me, I have my right-hand battle, Command Sergeant Major Diamond Hough. Please give him a round of applause for his leadership.
Thank you.
So, General Brown, thank you. Thank you and AUSA, the AUSA Dream Team that supports you. You know, I call you all the AUSA Dream Team because you have all of the legends, the history, the stars, and the tremendous leaders who have not only led the United States Army, but who have also been great advocates, apologists, and defenders of Army medicine. And so I would like to thank you and the team for supporting this hot topic symposium. It's been several years since we have been able to come together to really focus and drill down and talk about Army medicine. In my vision, General Brown, I foresee that one day we're going to have a AUSA AMED symposium like we used to really set aside the time to dig deep down into Army medicine and the Army. We started along that path, and then COVID kind of disrupted us. However, we've been able to have some focused hot topic sessions to keep Army medicine, Army strong. And I thank you and the AUSA Dream Team. I also would like to thank all of our guests here. Assembled in the room, we have active duty, reserve, National Guard, international, civilian, and government partners. And so I thank you for taking an interest into the holistic health and the soldier readiness of our soldiers and our families. There's a saying that we say in Army medicine, and that motto is Army medicine is Army strong. And the reason Army medicine is Army strong, it's because of the soldiers, the civilians, the teammates, the civilian support, the government agencies and businesses that all support Army medicine that truly make us Army strong. So I'm indebted, and I thank you on behalf of Army medicine, the 123,000+ soldiers and civilian who are currently serving today's force. We have assembled, as General Brown said here, many key panelists, both military and civilian, who are our deep thinkers, you know, our tremendous leaders. And so I'm excited also for them assembling here today. And thank you all, the panelist members, to take the time out of your busy schedules to come talk about Army medicine and where we're going. Also, I'd like to thank Lieutenant General Gary Brito, the Army G1. He is our keynote speaker. He is leading many initiatives and is the integrator on many Army medicine and soldier readiness topics that are making a difference in the soldier and the family. And so I thank General Brito for him taking the time out of his busy schedule to come out here today. Command Sergeant Major.
Thank you, sir. Now it would be easy for me just to say ditto. So what I will say is I echo General Dingle's comments. General Brown, General Swan, I see friends out in the audience, General Haley, and of course, SMA Daly. I really thank you and appreciate what AUSA are doing for our soldiers and our families. The support is phenomenal.
So this is the holiday season, so I come bearing gifts. And for everyone, you get a present of the Army Medicine Strategic Vision. And the vision for Army medicine is that we will be ready, reformed, reorganized, responsive, and relevant to the Army, And when I say the Army, I'm talking about its soldiers and its family members, as well as the beneficiary population that we serve and the soldiers for life. We will be ready, reformed, reorganized, responsive, and relevant. Because when the Army is called upon to deploy today and fight tonight to win wars with overwhelming lethality, Army medicine will be there to return them to duty tomorrow. And that's what the vision gets after. You know, that vision says that we'll be ready to respond no matter what happens or what we're called upon to do, whether to go into combat or to set up urban augmentation medical task force to support a whole of government approach against an unseen enemy, i.e. COVID-19. However, also, along with the gifts that you have today, you also are lucky to have the Army Medicine Strategy. That Army Medicine Strategy lays out the azimuth, the direction, how we're going to get to the endpoint, the waypoints, what are the objectives, the campaign plan. It feeds into the campaign plan, which I'll talk about next very briefly. However, that strategy is there to instill the confidence in those we support, from the foxhole to the fixed facility. General Charlie Flynn said this as he was departing the Pentagon to assume command of USAPAC, and he's now the commanding general, leading a tremendous effort in the Pacific. General Flynn said this. He said, Scotty, he said, the reason that the infantryman, that the combat armsman takes that hill, that he knocks down that door, that he puts his or her life on the line, it's because that they have the confidence that that medic will be there to respond, to save their lives if needed. So it gives that combat arms person, whether male or female, the confidence to do things that the normal man will not do, to put their lives on the line in defense of their country. That's why they depend and count on Army medicine to be ready, reformed, reorganized, responsive to the call, and relevant no matter what the mission is. And so as the third gift, let me get the other three gifts. So you also have the campaign plan. The campaign plan, it lays out the exact campaign plan objectives, our lines of effort, whether synchronizing or integrating the medical effort, whether building readiness, support to modernization or the medical force. We have General McQueen here, who from the Medical Research Development Command, and the panel will talk about the research efforts and where we're going. I know the Secretary and the Chief, at times they kind of say, oh goodness, Scotty, not again, because as we talk Army Futures Command and we talk about the multi-domain operations and tomorrow battlefield, I'm the thorn in the side that say, hey, sir, medical will not get left behind. You know, as the Army modernizes, and the medical will modernize also. Sir, where's my medical variant? I got long range vertical lift. Where's my medical platform? You know, because again, it is great that we are modernizing at the speed of relevance. However, Army medicine likewise will modernize, and we will not get left behind. I will guarantee that. We, in all of the 8 cross-functional teams, not to steal their thunder, but we have our medical representation in there. And the reason that we're in there to synchronize the Army medicine campaign plan to make sure that we remain in step with the United States Army. And then, of course, the 4th and 5th campaign objectives are medical reform and strengthen alliances and partnerships. And I see one of our international brethren here in the audience. Thank you for taking the time. And on behalf of the Army, thank our international and NATO partners for their synergy and their support to the overall effort. And then finally, the fourth gift that I have for you, being the festive holiday season that it is the COVID-19 lessons learned. And you'll hear some of those. Truly astonishing, amazing, and impressive of what our soldiers responded to with COVID-19. We assembled and put together organizations, not ad hoc, because we did planning behind it, but when it comes to the organizational structure and set of Army medicine, they were developed teams responsive to the need of our nation. We always talk about running to the sounds of the gun, but in here, our medics, our soldiers, our doctors, our nurses, our pharmacists, our providers, our medical professionals responded to the call of COVID-19, running into the depths and the valleys, facing death. Not from the foxhole, but in our own country, our hospitals, our cities, our towns, our remote areas, embedding in hospitals. And the thing about Army medicine, and this is one thing that concerns me, is that Army medicine, the soldiers and civilian love what they do. They love what they do. You know, you all, the ones that are in here, you love what you do. But the thing that concerns me is that I also have to keep my finger on the pulse because they are selfless servants throwing their lives on whatever medical grenade that arises, not thinking about themselves. So the hours that they put in, whether it's a medical response team, or urban augmentation medical task force, deploying forward surgical teams, whatever the issue is, they're working. And the thing about it is that Army medicine professionals are not in a peacetime mode. You know, in the rest of the Army, we often go into a cycle of peacetime, rest, and reset. No, not Army medicine, because every day is a live fire event. They're there to save your life in our hospitals, which are health readiness platforms, our number one priority that feeds into medical readiness. And they're working endlessly, treating us, our children, our family members, our soldiers, our sailors, our airmen, our Marines, our partners, endless hours, and then just getting right back the next day to do it again and again and again and again. And then when the call comes up to deploy to Detroit or Chicago, or you name the city, to put your life on the line and deal with overwhelming death, it concerns me. And so I have to watch them because I want to keep them Army strong. And so, but you have the lessons learned that codify the many things that our soldiers, your soldiers, have done for our nation. And as we do this, and you read the campaign plan, the only way that we can accomplish this as a total Army medicine force, a total Army medicine ready force, TARF is what I call it. That means that there's one Army medicine comprised of 3 compos 1, 2, 3, no disparity between those compos. There's one standard of excellence. Our Compo 2, our National Guards men and women, and our citizen soldiers have showed us since the onset of Iraq and Afghanistan that they have raised the bar, that there is one standard of excellence. And we have inculcated that into our Army medicine strategy and our campaign plans. And it's admirable to see our Compo 3 and Compo 2 soldiers with the same dedication, the same commitment to the conservation of the fighting strength as Compo 1. And so I'm excited about the over 60% of our medical organizations that are in Compo 3, that there's no disparity of standards, that the leaders are tremendous leaders that have turned the corner and raised the bar. So I'm extremely excited. And then finally, medical readiness. Medical readiness. This is a battle that we constantly deal with and fight, whether if it's vaccine immunizations or whether it's this medical readiness, so that we have a medically ready force that can deploy today and fight tonight, or a force that is medically ready that could achieve the standards so that when they're called upon, they can save lives. But we are focusing on medical readiness, which is a priority, the first R, so that we can execute the Army medicine mission. So I'm excited about today. We look forward to your questions. Command Sergeant Major and I, after he talks, we'll open it up for a few Q&As for us before we welcome our guest keynote speaker and then our distinguished panel members. Command Sergeant Major.
Thank you, sir. So listening to that, how can you not be excited? So I'm looking for a recruiter so I can re-enlist again.
I already told General Brown I know the Surgeon General. I can get him medical waivers.
Absolutely, to keep continuing to serve. And so what you just heard the boss describe, committed soldiers, committed medical professionals who are dedicated to serving the people that serve our nation. And we're going to hear from 5 panel members today, and they're going to talk about different subjects. And I hope we get a lot of good, hard questions for the Surgeon General, not for me, SMA, because I know you've been looking for that. So we're going to talk about multi-domain operations. We're going to talk about holistic health and fitness. We're going to talk about medical generating, trauma initiatives, and our continued command support for behavioral health to our community and our nation and our soldiers. And so I'm excited about that. So I'll keep my comments short. Everything you heard is for one thing, to make sure that we keep our people first, which is the chief's priority. And Army medicine is dedicated to that. we will continue to serve with that excellence that the boss talked about for all our soldiers and their family members. So thank you.
So with that, what I'll do is I will open it up for questions and discussion or comments. Please don't be bashful.
Sir, if it's okay, I'll kick things off with the questions. And the first one would be, can you both speak on any new developments or an innovative processes that may be on the horizon as Army medicine moves forward with its reorganization efforts?
I don't want to steal Tony McQueen's. He's going to talk about the medical research development efforts, but I want to, and again, Tony, hopefully you're not going to talk about Project Convergence and the way ahead. Okay, I won't. I'm a little bit. I'm not going to steal this thunder. As I mentioned, Army Futures Command is doing a tremendous effort with modernization. One thing you heard me in my opening comments is that General McConville said when he took over and installed me as the Surgeon General, he said, Scotty, get in step, getting step. Initially, I took offense to it, and I said, sir, Army medicine, we're always in step. We can march with the rest of the Army. And he said, no, Scotty, you haven't been in step. Army medicine hasn't been in step because Army medicine is not its own mini Army. I said, Chief, what do you mean? Sergeant Major, I heard that, Sergeant Major. He said, it's not its own mini Army. He said, you still have your own schoolhouse. You still have your own research and development and testing. You still have your own sustainment class of supply. And you're not nested with the rest of the Army. The rest of the Army have partitioned and organized accordingly, but not Army medicine, and you're huge, and I want you to get in step. I said, acknowledge. I said, Chief, we're getting step. So as we got in step back to Futures Command, and Tony, I'm not going to steal too much of your thunder. The Futures Command came with a tremendous up-tempo leadership, modernizing and pushing the Army into tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, I thought about it. So, well, wait a minute, Chief, I'm going to be the thorn in the side because I'm not going to get left behind. I'm staying in step. And so I've been falling on the sword for, a future vertical lift medical variant, from the innovations and things like a Project Convergence, like they did the first one last year. And I raised Pure D, HE double hockey sticks because where's the medical? General Murray and General Richardson, Scotty, we promise you we got medical coming in next year. So this year, as we just returned from Project Convergence, medical was inculcated and they showed some of the initiatives. And Tony will talk about some of the others as he comes up on the panel. So we are in step and we are doing a lot of innovative things and simple things that support the medic. I'll let you talk about the hoist. That are a tremendous game changer, which may seem like a little thing. Okay, well, what's a hoist? But we saw that observation at Project Convergence, along with many things that are being worked. And Tony will talk about the rest when he comes up on this panel. Sergeant Major.
Well, so to stay in step, we have a ton of innovations, and just like you said, don't want to steal Research and Development Command thunder, but just something as small as a hoist used to lift patients out of very tricky situations. We had a lot of times medics have to deal with stabilizing and being able to make sure that thing doesn't twirl, and that affects the patient. And now we have a variant that stabilizes itself, has motors in it to make sure that doesn't happen. Just little things like that continue to move forward is going to help keep Army medicine in step with the rest of our Army as we continue to modernize.
And then Tony, we won't steal any more of your thunder. I'm sorry.
Yeah, gentlemen, I've got a question for you. I know General Brito will talk about talent management when he gets up here, but what kind of unique challenges and successes do you have in the medical force when it comes to talent management? And something that comes to mind is, how do you compete with the civilian healthcare community for talent?
Oh, wow, that is a huge challenge, because at the end of the day, I can't compete with the financial disparity that a healthcare provider can make in the civilian sector. We've raised the incentives. We've had congressional and senatorial support and have put in legislation where we've been able to raise the incentives to keep our medical professionals in. However, at the end of the day, it is still very tough. Many of our providers come in through HPSP, the Health Professional Scholarship Program, different from a medical professional who has come through USHUS. Our USHUS produces tremendous medical professionals, as well as HPSP, not to take away from it, because they're attending some of the best schools in the nation. However, many are coming in to have that medical school paid for because it's a tremendous debt. In comparison to a USHU officer who has committed to the service of their nation, wanting to attend the West Point of medical schools, you know, the best of the best. And so as I look at my leadership at the upper levels, you know, the majority lion's share are overwhelmingly USHU's graduates that have that military commitment to serve their nation. We are taking many initiatives, and it's across all of the specialties, not just medical corps, but each of the corps, for retainment of our officers, as well as our enlisted personnel. And so we're working with the Talent Management Task Force because we have some of the same challenges of quality of life, the number of deployments. A lot of our medical professionals want the sets and the reps. It's hard to get those and sustain that in the military health readiness platforms. However, that is our first place of readiness that we have to keep our professionals. So one thing that I've done also to help change the game is to establish the civilian to military partnerships. And so as we now have 8 working on more civilian to military partnerships, where we're taking medical teams and assigning them to the University of Chicago Hospital, for example. A tremendous location where we were just up there about a month or 2 ago, and you talk to the medical professionals, and all of them in all 8 locations have the same testimony. Sir, this is why we serve. And that's not coming from a military facility, but a civilian facility. And then I said, well, teammates, what is that difference that gives you that drive to want to serve and stay in? They said, well, sir, I'm getting the reps and the sets. I want to save lives. I want to do surgeries. I want to take care of people. And the number of surgeries, the type of cases have just raised the level of satisfaction where those officers want to serve more. And so the thing that I have each of our corps chiefs trying to do is, well, how do I replicate that and get that also in our military treatment facilities, but leverage as we go after our individual critical task lists, which are going to drive the rep sets and touches to get to that satisfaction and quality of life. I was talking to, you know, one of our cardiothoracic surgeons, and he said, sir, I love the Army. However, I'm getting offered 5 times the money in the civilian sector. But sir, I love the Army. If I can get the sets and the reps and the surgeries that keep me proficient, my acumen sharp, so I will stay in the Army in spite of the tripling of my money, of my finances. So we're trying to attack that. Each of the corps chiefs, you know, of course, we do all the surveys, but the thing is turning the quarter. So we have a talent management team, an Army Ready Surgical Task Force team, and a few others that are getting after the atmosphere of satisfaction. Sergeant Major? Mm-hmm.
Nothing to add to that, sir.
Gentlemen, for both of you, you know, throughout Iraq and Afghanistan, we quickly realized, and probably every war throughout American history, that the need of a medic at the point of the spear is most critical. And we, frankly, run those kids ragged. I mean, we send them out on patrol over and over again. And I was always in constant demand for more medics down at the unit level. What is, by the way, force structure for the future for Army Medical Command, and how are we going to meet the demands of the future modern battlefield?
Did you set that question in there? No. Before you go, let me intro, and he's biting at the bit for this. Okay, so with modernization comes, and you know this, Sergeant Major, comes structure. Many of you all have, you know, read in the press, okay, United States Army Medical Command's getting cut 6,935 medical personnel. the lion's share of that was 68 whiskeys. I laid out to the chief, okay, chief, here's the impact, you know, and I got to go. I need a decision to let you see what's going to happen to the readiness of the force and what's going to happen to our soldiers, family members, and beneficiary retirees who are accessing care. And here's the second, third order impact. Chief and SMA said, Scott, no, absolutely not. We got to take risks because it's part of modernization, and we need structure to modernize. You know, and so again, we did all the MDMP. He took us from the medium down to low. 2948 is now the structure that I'm going to lose in the MedCom. Over 2,100 are in fact 68 whiskeys. CSM dry, he beats me up every day about those the whiskeys, and SMA, when I talk it, his hair goes up on the back of his head. However, you know, it's a informed decision that the chief has made, and he needs that structure. At the same time, in the bottom-up review from FORCECOM that was led, the number one thing that everyone asked for was medics, more medics. We need more forward. At the the Joint Global Patient Movement Center, the JIPM JAB that Transcom runs about evacuation, the number one issue over years has been more medics and more personnel, more CCAT teams to get casualties from the theater of operations out. You know, not back in the fixed facility, but from the foxhole locations. Life cannot be conserved if that 68 whiskey, the first responder, is not there to stop the bleeding. And so we acknowledge that. However, I am losing 2,100 in spite of the demand from the bottoms up review that said we needed more 68 series, you know, and so, but, you know, he's going to give you the hardcore story, but, you know, my hands are tied, you know, and I tell the SMA, I said, well, SMA, I need you to talk to the chief, you know, and then the chief will have to make that decision to take it elsewhere. But the number is 2,948, 2,168 whiskeys is what we are looking at getting cut. Sergeant Major.
What a question, SMA. All right. So very concerned. First of all, I trust our leaders. We have to make hard decisions, and I understand resourcing. But I often tell people the only other MOS that's part of the foundation of our Army in the infantry squad is a medic. I often tell the PCC when we speak to them, when it comes to training and understanding the importance of having your medic, it's too late to care about it when you're looking up at that medic. So like the boss said, at the point of injury, that we usually don't have any other provider there. It is that 6-8 whiskey. So their availability, their ability to get to the fight, to be trained, to continue to train as Army medicine evolves and as medicine evolves, making sure our whiskeys stay in step is of the utmost of importance. And then straight to your question, I'm absolutely concerned about future structure and what it means to our medics. But again, I go back to the point, as the boss has said, I'm constantly in his ear. I know he understands the challenges, and we'll get to the right decision as we always do as an Army. With that said, we are putting a lot of emphasis on increasing the baseline competencies of our 6-8 whiskeys. So we have a bunch of programs to include the SMART program. We actually have a couple paramedic programs that are standing up. Over the last 15 years, I would suggest, some may disagree, that our Whiskey Ones, our Ranger Regiment medics, have demonstrated the most competency when it comes to trauma in medicine. And their baseline competency is that of a paramedic. Now, as the Army, we don't change to a civilian standard, but we do need the POI to support that, because as we deal with crises on our own home front, it's important. Our civilians and people around the world recognize credentials. So we must make sure that our 6-8 whiskeys keep pace with that. And then we have to have enough in the force to make sure we can support all our warriors. So absolutely a concern. Absolutely we are addressing it, and absolutely we're doing something about it to be able to mitigate. Hope that answers your question.
Great question. Okay, we have time for just one more question.
General Sergeant Major, my name is Jason Forrester. I'm with Electrocor, a neurostimulation company that is focused on migraine as well as performance. Interested to know more about some of the success stories of emerging technologies and other new forms of treatment that have been brought into our Army recently, just to get a better sense of how you're bringing on board those kind of changes. Thank you.
Yeah. And that goes back to the medical research and development under General Tony McQueen. So if you don't mind, I don't want to steal too much of his thunder because we got him on the panel member to talk about a few of those initiatives. But I will say that I am tremendously impressed with what our medical research development team is doing. I'm impressed with the leadership of Army Futures Command. Initially, I was hesitant. With all things change is hard, and I didn't want to let the medical research and development from the MedCom. However, the benefit, is that the medical research development and the many initiatives and things and plans and procedures and are inculcated with the money behind it. And the power of Futures Command to speed it along. But I told Tony, General McQueen, I would not steal his thunder. We got him on a panel member, so he will discuss some of those as he comes up here. That's okay.
Okay, great beginning. Please put your hands together for General Dingle and Command Sergeant Major Hough.